Okay, we're good. Hello, Joseph Addabbo. Thank you so much for giving us your time and your ability to share your knowledge and your wisdom with students. And there are so many students who are going to listen to this recording down the road. We are in the midst of the start of the school year. Shortly, we are in the midst of a pandemic. We are hosting this via Zoom. Who would have ever thought years ago we did this in person? And the students at Queller Prep would love to hear about you, your background, and really just how you're able to persevere. If you're able to, without further ado, tell us about yourself. We want to get started right away. Please share wisdom about yourself. Thank you.
Sure. Francis, so pleasure to be with you again. Unfortunately, virtually, I look forward to coming back to Queller Prep. I actually had the pleasure of visiting Queller Prep a couple of weeks or so ago, and it's great to see what's going on there. I'm a big fan of Queller Prep. So to you, the students, to all who work there, again, all the instructors, thank you for really what you do. Again, I am privileged to be a state senator, to be an elected official. I wake up every day with the opportunity of helping people. That's my job. And I thank the people for giving me that privilege and honor. I guess if you rewind my life back, back to high school, let's say, or even grammar school, even college to an point, I would have never thought or known that I was going to be an elected official, whether it be in the city council, because I was in the city council from 2001 to 2008, or in the state senate since 2009. I would have never known. I went through high school doing my best, working very hard, but trying to figure out a career path. Nothing was hitting me. And then I went to college, and I was actually entering my junior year of college when I decided that I was good at math. So I'll, try to be an accountant. And so I had my accounting degree, and right out of college, I was an accountant for a little while. And then I wanted to go to law school. So I went to law school, but all through it all, really, it was about helping people. I liked the fact that I got to help people with accounting or with legal work. And so really a path of trying to help people was what I was looking for. And then just getting involved in my community as a civic president, watching my dad. And my dad, for those of you who don't know, he was a federal elected official. He was a congressman from 1960 to 1986 when he passed. And just watch him, help others too on a federal level and in the community. So I got to work in the community as a civic president. And then, in 2001, a city council seat local opened up. But through it all, like I said, I would never thought about being an elected official way back when, but through it all, it was about helping people and also about asking questions. And whenever I do, career days or talk about, my life as elected official or how I got here, it was about asking questions along the way. No problem that I ever faced, I felt like I was alone. And I think that's important to understand that you're never alone in life when you're facing problems or issues in your life. There's people around to ask questions, to figure out solutions to help you along the way. And so all along, and even today, I ask questions and look to those who are either my colleagues in government or older than me, and trying to figure out solutions to some of the problems. So, it's been an interesting ride so far, and I'm sure it'll be interesting going forward as well.
Do you mind sharing with the students who are listening some hardships that you've learned to overcome? Because I think that right now we're dealing with a really tough time in history. And even as an adult, there have been some challenges. Do you mind sharing just hardships and any advice in overcoming hardships?
Sure. Unfortunately, most of us have witnessed or experienced the death of a loved one in our life. And for me, it was 1986 when my dad passed away. At the time, I really needed him. I was graduating college. I was trying to still figure things out in terms of a career. My last conversation with my dad on the phone was about law school. And he said, when he gets home, he was in Washington, and he says, when he gets home that week, we'll talk about law school. And we never got that conversation. We never had that conversation because he passed away before he got home. He passed away in Washington. So, to figure things out, again, I always felt like I wasn't alone, even after my dad's passing. My dad was still my guiding light. He was still my inspiration. He was still with me, things he had taught me while he was still here with us. But again, I had other people in my life to ask questions about, going to law school, and eventually went to law school, and, went through law school, did the bar exam, passed the bar exam, became a lawyer. But, again, in our darkest moment, I do a couple of things. We pray, and we ask questions, even to those around us. And now we're facing another difficult time because we have COVID. We're still in the COVID pandemic. And once again, many of us have witnessed friends and family members and loved ones who have passed away. And the bottom line is we try to get through it. How? Again, praying or figuring out what is that makes us able to get past this bad time, and ask questions. And you find that others that are in the same boat as you are, maybe experiencing a depressed moment or loss of a loved one, when you get together and you start to compare notes and you start to work things out together, only by really working together do we get through these bad times. So I encourage anyone, like I said, ask questions, talk to others as we get through this pandemic.
If you could share like your 3 tips for success, what do you think helps you succeed in
Yeah.
not so
Whenever
much career, your life?
it,
What do you think like life success? Like 3 tips to give to teenagers who are going to be listening to
I think,
this.
I think it's different for everyone. When I, again, go to career days and I talk about careers and what it means for success, I think about, one, love what you do. Even in today's world, as students, people who love a subject will do well in it. So love what you do. Pick a career path, that you're going to love to do. When you love to do something, you do it well. And part of that success is doing something well. So love what you do. I love my job. I love waking up in the morning to help people. That's the path I chose because I love to do it. And thankfully, so again, people give me the opportunity. Secondly, in my opinion, to be successful, be persistent. Keep grinding at it, going forward. Never go back, but always move forward. There again, you can always move forward. When you're faced with a hurdle that is in front of you, you don't go around it, you go over it. You find a solution, you tackle that hurdle that's in front of you. And so therefore persistence pays off. I think that's very important going forward as well. And lastly, again, ask questions, because there are those that have paved the way in front of us. There are those who went down this road. So when you come to a crossroads and you got a paved road or a bumpy road, well, sometimes we take choices. We go down the paved road and obviously ask questions and get help from others. Sometimes we have to pave our own road, and that's taking the bumpier road and paving it ourselves. But in either case, ask questions and keep going forward. So those are the 3. Those are 3, in my opinion, for success.
And then if you could speak a bit about your journey throughout law school. I actually just spoke with someone earlier today, and not naming names, who, we have a lot of students from Queller Prep. They enter 7th, 8th, 9th grade. And then next thing you know, they're in college, they're finishing college. A lot of them are afraid of going to law school. There's this fear of spending 3 years. I don't know if I want to be a lawyer forever. This is a very common statement. I'm scared of the bar exam. There's a whole plethora. I literally just spoke with someone earlier today who's very talented, and he voiced that he's just scared. He's scared of the time, and he's just afraid of studying for the bar. What's your advice to students like this?
Well, again, I think law school provides a great opportunity, again, to help others. It's a great field. It's such a diverse field. There's many aspects or areas of law that you can practice. So I think that's why law school is if those who choose, is a great path to go down. It's scary, no question. It's not easy. Again, law school is 3 years, 4 years if you do it part-time. Yes, there's a bar exam. But like any school, high school or college, the idea here is you work at it. You work at it and you should do well. The bar exam, for those who take it on the first try and they pass, great. For those who don't pass the first time, second time, or even the third time, and I've known those individuals as well, the bottom line is once you pass it, you're a lawyer like anyone else. Whether you pass it the first time or the third time, you're still a lawyer and able to license, practice law in New York. And nobody's going to ask you if you passed it the first time, second time, or third time. They're basically looking for somebody who's dedicated, professional, and caring enough to be a lawyer or an attorney. So the idea here is overcome your fear, ask questions. Again, look at all aspects of law school and the bar exam. But if you're dedicated enough and persistent enough, you'll get through both law school and the bar exam.
So, and I just want to remind everyone listening, this is not rehearsed at all. So I'm just asking open questions. I'm curious to know the answers myself. With regards to your education, on a scale of 1 to 10, what role do you think your law degree, your higher education played in your life? Because you're fairly seasoned. You've had a career for several years, several decades now out of law school. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think obtaining that higher degree was?
For me, personally, very important. I use my legal background when through the city council, again, 2001, 2002, when I first started. I got elected in 2001, started in 2002 to 2008. The legal background was very important to me because drafting legislation, as a city council member and even as a state senator, we are the legislative branch of government. So using that legal background to read statute, to read statutory language, to draft language of a bill, that was very important to me. So I still today, although I don't practice, I am a full-time state senator. I do not practice law at this point. The bottom line is I still use my skills and what I was taught in law school to incorporate that into my legislative work. Even my accounting degree from college, although I was an accountant for a very short period of time after college, I still use my accounting degree and my accounting skills when doing budget. When I got elected to the city council, we were on the heels of 9/11, a tremendously harsh time fiscally for the city on the heels of 9/11 economically. And I used my accounting degree then to get through a tough city budget. And then I got elected to the state senate. My first budget was 2009, a recession. And using, once again, my accounting degree and the skills to figure out a tough state budget, in its time. So these life skills that we've learned along the way, again, college, law school, these are still skills that I use today almost every day.
And so I'm so glad that you're sharing that because I'm also a lawyer. I went to law school, but here I am running an education business. And for the most part, I help students enter schools. So I'm not necessarily practicing day to day, but I also want to share with all the kids listening that I myself am someone who uses those skills and everything that I learned in school. So if you had to give us a 1 to 10, just honestly speaking, how much do you think your college education in accounting and your major and your law degree, how much do you think it impacted your later life?
For me personally, Francis, a 10.
A 10.
Yeah. Again, considering the tough budget city and state that I went through and some of the tough legislation that we had to pass, both city and state, I would say for me, a 10. That's why I don't regret, going through accounting at St. John's University or law school.
So looking back at your life to date, what are you most proudest of? Because I follow you and I'm a big fan of all the different projects that you work on and the goodwill. And it was so nice to meet you in person and your energy and just everything. What are you most proud of that you've accomplished to date?
Being a good husband and father, I'll start with that.
That's so nice.
That's my primary job, certainly. But career-wise, we have to be ready to address any issue that comes our way. I get elected to the city council and flight 587 crashes in Rockaway. That's my district, and how to handle a tragedy like that. From that, I could mention Hurricane Sandy and what my staff and I did. I'll always remember and I'll always be grateful. And as people even today remark how grateful they are for the work we did during Hurricane Sandy, getting people and businesses back on their feet. And then I'll fast forward a little bit to today, the COVID. Again, I'm very proud of the work we've done with my staff, whether it be food distribution, whether it be just working with the businesses, trying to get them back on their feet, getting us through this COVID period, which we never had a blueprint for.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to deal with this pandemic.
Yeah.
And it's been, going on 2 years now. So that kind of work, I could point to a piece of legislation and say, "Oh, I love that. I passed a piece of legislation to protect Jamaica Bay and clean the environment, and help people rebuild their homes in parts of my district with legislation." I mean, I love the legislative work I do. I really do. It's that work that I do in the district where I can look in someone's eyes and say that, hey, we had a moment to help that person, and in return get the satisfaction of that person to look in my eyes and be grateful. um, that's what makes me, want to get up in the morning and go back to work, certainly. So, throughout the career, just dealing with, again, these tragedies or these events that occur, that we're at the ready, to help people. So that's what I'll look back on and most fondly.
And just with all of your work in the community and the community impact, we have so many students at Queller Prep and just students in general, because it's an open question with regards to internships, how to help, how to volunteer. There's so many kids right now who just want to do something. They want to make a positive change. How can they reach you? How can they connect with you?
Oh,
Or
you know,
are you
I,
even taking in-person interns now?
it's tough because it's still, we're certainly under some COVID mandates. So to keep everyone safe,
Yeah,
while I'd love to have interns in the office helping out in the community,
yeah.
we do a lot of outside work, cleanup work. So we do have outside events in which we do. If anybody ever wants to be involved in my office or any other elected official's office, I should certainly suggest they call their elected official. For me, my main number is 718-738-1111. Again, 718-738-1111. You can also go online and look at my website as well as my email. You can let us know if you're interested in helping in the community. We'll find a way to keep you active, because there are certain situations with this COVID pandemic where ordinary people became extraordinary people.
Yeah.
They really stepped up and crossed that line, whether it's to hand out food or do a cleanup or whatever it was in a safe environment. A lot of people got active during the COVID pandemic. I saw it also with Hurricane Sandy too. People trying to help. We saw it after 9/11. People just getting together, getting everyone emotionally back. So these situations that again happen in our lives, we find that it triggers within certain people the need to go out and help and get active. So certainly they can reach out to my office and we'll try and figure something out.
When students reach out, they're curious about the age group. What's the age where you think someone can start volunteering? Not
It's
necessarily for your office, but just let's say they wanted to do outreach. Like, how young can students begin this
I've
path?
had events where we've had grammar school students help. We've had Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts help. I mean, it's up to the parent that and to make sure that we have a safe environment for which the younger resident helps. But they could start as young as that, grammar school age, all the way up to college. And we've had some individuals do even research online if we're thinking about an environmental issue, or because I always say, don't ever think the elected officials have all the answers and all the ideas.
Yeah.
We don't. We don't. The answers to some of the problems in our community, the answers are right there in our residents and on our constituency. We just got to hear it. So I encourage them to email me or call me with an idea, and we'll work with our legal counsel. We'll figure it out. So the idea is to get active. Let me hear an idea, and some of the best ideas come from younger residents who can't even vote. They're too young to vote. When I was in the city council, it was because of younger residents who were far from the age of voting. They were like 13, but they wanted a skateboard park in Queens. And at that time, roughly 2002, 2003, there was no skateboard park in Queens. And so I promised them that I would work with them. And we got the first skateboard park in Queens down in Rockaway. It was, I think, Beach 92nd Street, 94th Street. Unfortunately, Sandy wiped it away, Hurricane Sandy, but we're getting it back,
Yeah.
But that skateboard park in Queens was actually the idea of 12 and 13-year-olds, and was designed by 12 and 13-year-olds as they worked with the Parks Department. And it was a $500,000 project, but that was all originated and a product of younger residents speaking out to their elected official. So I encourage all to do so.
If you could speak to parents right now who are their kids are dealing with these extremely unusual circumstances. A couple of parents I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this up, and I will, because I want you to be honest with you. These are the phone calls I'm getting. There are a few parents right now, they're struggling with their kids and, quite frankly, some depression issues as well. What advice could you offer to parents and to families just about persevering during these times in history?
Like I said, it's important for them to understand they're never alone. Again, during this COVID pandemic, we've spoken to many parents, many seniors who actually live alone, but to assure them that they're never alone, they can call, my office, and actually my office has a 24-hour live operator. So whenever you call my office, even
Right.
after hours, you'll always get a live operator, and if it's an emergency, they'll call me or my chief of staff. But never alone. So for the parents, there are programs out there that were again created during the COVID pandemic to actually deal with these kind of situations with parents and depression, teen depression and child depression, because it's what we experience. We're only human. And the
Yeah.
duration of the pandemic has certainly, took a toll on many of us physically and emotionally and mentally. And so, there are programs out there. So whenever, a parent or anyone thinks that they have to find a program or a way to get back on track, use the elected official's office, any elected official as a resource, because we sort of know where these programs are. And so, like I said, I would encourage those that are, and when anyone calls my office, it's always confidential. So if they call or email me, we'll try and get them the help they may seek.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because it's a very real issue that is happening with the kids. Um, I also want to touch upon just your feelings with just upcoming application processes to high schools. And there's quite a lot of anxiety with the kids and with the SHSAT and upcoming tests. So we currently have a lot of kids at Queller who are studying nonstop, and there's just like this limbo. And if it's okay, I want to ask, we have several hundred kids, and like they don't even know if there's a test, they don't know if there's a test date, they don't know what's going on. So they study at Queller for several hours per day, they give up the whole summer. What would be your advice, or what are you at this point just aware of in terms of just having the kids continue to study, because we're losing momentum, specifically at Queller. I'm certain this is happening in other places. The DREAM program, I mean, there are a lot of programs right now supporting student in preparation for these tests. If you could just give some advice, or are you aware of anything with the exam at this point?
So, so let me be very clear at first. I am a supporter of the standardized test. I am on the education committee, and I believe that we should have these standardized tests available to all. If we feel, and I am of the belief also that every student should have access to the resource materials needed to do well on the test, have access to the test itself. And if we need to subsidize any cost incurred, we want everyone to have access to these tests and the resource materials. We'll figure it out, as far as funding in our city and state budget. But the idea here is everyone should have access to these exams. I was part of the education committee when then Chancellor Carranza comes up to Albany and speaks before the education committee. And he spoke of, at that time, keeping the exam with other factors, attendance and other factors. And we said, fine, as long as you keep the exam, we could use other factors like attendance to be considered. He then goes back to the city and stands next to the mayor, Mayor de Blasio, talking about how they're going to phase out the test in 4 years. And that bothered me, because that's not what he told the education committee at the time. We have a new mayor coming in January. Certainly, most likely will be a new chancellor, and with some sense of optimism, I look forward to working with the new mayor and a new chancellor at that point to work out these situations and these issues for the sake of improving, or the sake of the students and improving their educational environment. I always say be prepared. If the question is if there's a test or not, and I'm working with my daughter now, my oldest daughter, taking the SATs at colleges. Some schools are not taking the SAT scores, some are, and take the exam, be prepared, act as if the test is going to be given and it's going to be considered. This way, if it is taken and considered, you're ready, you're there. So of the mindset, be positive that we're going to use these exams for educational purposes. Um, it's fluid. We're weeks or so away from the school opening on I believe September 13th. And we're not sure about social distancing in schools or masks.
Yeah.
And so you have a federal standard, a state standard, and a city standard, three different standards. So I got parents calling my office saying, what's going on? And I assure them that before school starts, I will make every effort to make sure that we have clear and distinct guidelines for every classroom. But in terms of the exam, I would certainly prepare as if the exam was to be given and will count.
I think that the kids are getting so much out of this and learning and prepping. And I really want to take a moment just to let you know in a public forum how much I admire you and respect the work that you do. And it's almost dizzying following how much community involvement you have. You really reach out. I mean, oh my goodness, you're just out. You're physically present. You're out. You are engaged with people of the community.
I love talking to people. I think, I go to the coffee shop locally. I walk along the streets. I just love talking to people because there's so much on their mind. Hey, I don't agree with everyone and they don't agree with me, but I learned from that. They may have an insight on a certain issue that I missed or I don't see. And that's helpful to me. I learn and get better by talking to people. And so I love the conversations, like I said, even the confrontations at times. But it's just that, by working together, we learn from each other. We're so diverse. We're the most diverse borough in the world.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot to learn from each other. And the idea is working together. Listen, we don't have to agree on everything. We're only human. And I think it's okay to disagree at times, but as long as we do it respectfully and move on to maybe more common ground, I think, again, we have a lot to learn from each other and we can all move forward together if we work together. So I love it, Francis, I do. I love the interaction. And like I said, I'm blessed to be in that, have that opportunity. So I do appreciate it.
Do you feel, and this is the last question, I just want to know, do you feel that this is your destiny? Do you feel that you're in your calling? Because I'm just basing it off the photos I see on Facebook, and you're just beaming. You're involved in the community. You're working with people at all walks of life. Do you feel that you are in your elements doing what you do right now?
Well,
that's the question.
The short answer is yes. Years ago when I was a younger kid, I wanted to be a baseball player, but I may be too short or don't have the arm for it, whatever it is, can't hit a curveball, whatever it might be. Now I look back and I just been blessed. I've been blessed to have this opportunity to help people along the way. It's where I want to be locally, just working with people and getting us through this pandemic and enjoying all of us to enjoy better days ahead.
So I also want the families listening to this recording to know that I also love what I do. If you have not already figured that out, I run Zooms every single night. There's a Zoom now, there's another one after this. I really, really love sharing knowledge, meeting people, interviewing, learning from the wisdom of others such as yourself. So what career advice can you give to students who are like 14 to 18 listening to this recording? Because that's really the group that we're working with the most.
Those are my daughter's ages. I mean, they're 14 and 17. So I deal with this on a nightly basis we have dinner and we talk. And, there's so much on their mind, to try and get my daughters to focus when, if I get a moment off of TikTok and I get to interrupt them a little bit, listen, this is what they are, they're kids. And the idea here is just to tell them, listen, ask questions, at times be focused, help others if they can, but ask questions about careers and life in general. And the idea here is just, again, try to do right, in this world, if you can help out. And, like I said, it'll hit them. I try to tell them that some of the decisions that they make now will affect them 30, 40 years from now. And it's hard to grasp at times to a 14 or 17-year-old, but I think back when I was 14 and 17-year-old, and man, if somebody told me that, I should have been paying attention, But that's the idea, let the kids have some fun at age 14 and 17, but also have them understand that the work that they do, the persistence that they put in now and the dedication they put in now will certainly make a difference in their life going forward.
So we want to say thank you so much. Michelle, I want you to say thank you, Senator Joseph Addabbo. Go.
Michelle.
Thank you, Senator Joseph
Senator.
Addabbo. We can't wait to see this person.
Francis,
Can't wait to see you.
I got to tell you, I so appreciate you're a mom, you're a professional, your vision,
Thank you, Dr.
Senator, isn't that so funny? I think this is her first time saying that. Senator, say Senator, say Senator. Joseph Addabbo. Go, Joseph Addabbo. Say, I want to be a lawyer. Say, I want to be a lawyer.
I want to be a lawyer.
Yeah, say, I want to be a politician.
I want to be a politician.
Say, I want to be the mayor.
I want to be the mayor.
You want to be the mayor? Oh my God, I would be such a proud mommy. You would want to be the mayor? You're going to be the mayor. Good. Yeah. Say bye, Michelle. Say thank you. Say thank you for letting mommy interview you.
My pleasure. Like I was saying, Frank, I do solely appreciate what you do, your vision for in Quella Prep. So I got to say thank you to you,
Thank you.
Your instructors, your students. I really am a big fan of Quella Prep. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for visiting. I'm so glad that you got to see our blue space, our beautiful environment.
Thank you
for what? For visiting. Good.
Thank you for visiting.
Yeah, he visited the office. He saw everybody. He saw the whole staff. He saw the tutors.
So impressed. I was so impressed. And I look forward to coming back. I really do. Hopefully
We're excited, Emma. That's it. And we look forward to you meeting baby number 3. He's sleeping right now. So we just made it. He knew that mommy had a Zoom. So isn't that great timing? That's good timing. All right. Thank you so much for this wonderful meeting, for sharing your wisdom.
Please stay safe, everyone. And I wish you much success in whatever path you choose, everyone. Much success. Be safe. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye. Bye-bye.